Hello, Dahi here from Timeslip Softworks. Welcome to the 30th development video for Vigilantes, which covers the changes and additions made to Vigilantes version 18, which is now available from Humble. First thing I'd like to show you is one of two new maps. This map is for the Survivalist Training Facility. Now, it's an enemy racket which you must locate in Assault in order to remove the bonuses given to the gang which owns it. The other map which has been added is a Church of the Final Exodus Chop Shop, and that is also similarly an enemy racket. I'm going to just start a new game now. The big emphasis for this update has been effectively to make a final last push on a number of features which we thought were beneficial. In particular, these features relate to expanding the number of tactical options you have in combat. And there are three features that have been added in this update which relate to this, and these are attacks of opportunity, the ability to delay your turn, and also Overwatch. I should mention as well the characters, you can't really see them so well here, but most of the character portraits have been replaced at this point with hand-drawn versions. It would have been better, I guess, to show you in the dialogue, but you can see them a little. If you can compare the first two to the third one, it's kind of hasn't been replaced yet. But to move on to the first of these new tactical options, delaying turn. In this case, probably previously the best thing would be to move here, as it would allow you to launch one attack against this enemy, stay out of this enemy's range, and then you'd have two more attacks the next turn. You could also wait here, in which case both enemies would have closed with you by the time you're able to make an attack. The other option is to delay the turn. Now this does cost 1 AP. I'm going to go and do this now. So what this basically allows is for you to get two attacks on the enemy, and then by the time the second one closes, so just end the turn, you'll have the option to make two more attacks. So it seems like, in this scenario, probably the best way to maximize your damage output. Moving on to the next new feature, attacks of opportunity. These are effectively free melee attacks which can be made if a character adjacent attempts to move away. So if I attempt to make a single tile move now, it'll tell me that the attack of opportunity chance is 20%, and that's 2 by 10. So I'm just going to go and do that, and it may take it's not a great chance really, so that's showing a trigger there. The way it works is if you have equal initiative, you'll only have a 10% chance. If you have higher initiative, you get an additional 5% chance to trigger the attack for every initiative point you have higher, and there'll also be a perk which will significantly boost your chance to trigger an attack of opportunity. So I think this allows for sort of a new type of character in a way. If you could imagine kind of a tanky melee character that's also got a relatively high initiative, and take the scenario of say multiple enemies in this area, your melee character here and a couple of ranged characters behind who aren't going to be really so good at absorbing melee damage. Obviously a tactic now would be to move that melee character, this melee character, into the center of as many enemies as possible, and this will force them to either attempt to move away and risk an attack of opportunity, or force them to fight against what will effectively be a character who's very skilled in melee and can handle multiple adjacent enemies much better. I think it also creates some more tactical possibilities. If you were to consider the situation of these three characters as they stand and an enemy with a sniper rifle here, you'd probably want to consider now, do you want to try to move here, risk a 20% chance of an attack of opportunity and get better cover from the ranged character up here, or are you going to stand it out here and expose yourself to greater risk from the sniper? Moving on to Overwatch. Overwatch effectively allows you to reserve AP and to use that AP to interrupt an enemy's turn. Overwatch works for both melee and ranged attacks. So I've kind of set up a little ambush situation here. There's a load of churchers moving in, so I'm going to try and set up an ambush and see what I can do. I'm going to put Sam on melee Overwatch here. And you have the kind of regular options that you would have with attack types. You can't target body parts in Overwatch, but you can basically whichever attack mode you're in, whether it be that snap, normal or aimed, that's the sort of attack that will trigger in Overwatch. And this basically sets the minimum threshold at which Overwatch will fire. Now I'll just leave it at 25 just for now, and I've set this to a named attack for Elena Fury. And for Amelia De Soto, I think I'll just increase to a normal attack and just go to Overwatch, and we'll see what happens now. So there was one hit, one miss, and perhaps one of them's going to run into Sam as well. Maybe not. But it's not quite as dramatic as how I thought it would be. I thought it would, result in an enemy being taken out, but there we go. Moving on to the final few bits and pieces. Let's return to the last save. Overall, I think the addition of attacks of opportunity, Overwatch, and the ability to delay your turn, I think it has quite a few additional options in combat, and overall it represents a decent net gain in the combat complexity. Now, not all these systems are completely tied down yet. I'm mostly just interested in getting a basic implementation, something functional in place, and then I'll have a look at changing it later if it's a good idea to do so. Now, to cover the last couple of things, I've also added injuries. Now, injuries was something that was in the game much earlier, but I just took it out and I decided I would just put it back in. Now, how an injury happens, your characters can get injured if you're hit with a critical attack. The next thing that happens is your resilience stat is checked, and if the resilience score is, I think, higher than the kind of random roll, you won't sustain an injury. In the other case, you will sustain an injury. Now, each injury is linked to a stat. So you don't have any at the moment, but there are 6 kind of injury locations, and each one will reduce a stat. There are 3 levels for each. So the first time that you're hit, say you take an injury to the eyes, which is linked to instinct, that'll be a level 1 injury. Now, at which point you'll have the chance to you can either rest to try for the injury to heal. These options won't show up. Now, you'll be able to treat it yourself, which will require a certain level of surgery and a certain level of medical skill, or you can basically pay doc to remove the injury. Now, if you don't remove that injury and it's hit again, that area is hit again, it will increase to a level 2 injury. That'll reduce your stat points in that area by 2, and it'll go up as far as 3. And as it goes up, it takes much longer for them to naturally heal. So I guess it makes things like the surgery and having a decent medic on hand, it makes it more useful. Moving on, I've added in reputation as well. This is a relatively simple addition, but what this will do in the end, depending on how much carnage you cause, particularly how many of the enemies you kill, it will affect your reputation, and that will affect the ending. So if you kill all the enemies, like you're just causing absolute mayhem, the ending is going to reflect that. If you disable the enemies and allow the police to clean up, you get a different ending. Now, the endings aren't in place yet, but the basic code to handle them is. And the last thing I think is I've added an ally relationship mechanic, and effectively this allows you to build a relationship with each of your allies. Now, the benefit from that, at certain levels, the relationship goes from -50 to +50, and you'll get stat penalties or bonuses depending on the relationship. So I think around -25 you'll get a stat you get a stat penalty, and then at minus 35 maybe a second stat penalty, and vice versa for plus 25 and plus 35. So this will allow you to kind of to increase the strength of your allies. There are a couple of things which trigger changes, and it actually depends on your allies' outlook, primarily their attitude towards killing. Like Elena Fury, for example, she has a grudge against the survivalists. So if you're in a battle against the survivalists and you don't kill at least one of them, she will actually take a reputation, or your relationship to her will deteriorate. Other characters, such as Amelia DeSoto, as a police officer, she's not going to be extremely fond of just shooting the place up, so her attitude towards killing is opposed. So, and in the case of a character which is opposed, you will actually gain a small bonus for neutralizing enemies. You'll have a small but bigger penalty for killing an enemy, and if she directly kills an enemy, you'll have a larger penalty again. And there are also characters, none of whom have been added yet, have an ambivalent attitude towards killing. They don't really care either way. They're sort of people that have kind of been hardened, to a greater extent by their experiences, and they don't really mind what you do. So there'll be a smaller benefit from either killing or disabling for them. Now, other things which affect it: if you heal an ally, it'll give you a small increase to reputation or to your relationship, and if you allow them to become incapacitated, they get a fairly large penalty to your relationship. Now, I don't know how far this will go, as in, if your relationship gets really bad with them, will they just stop working with you? It's unlikely they'll attack you, but they may just say, I don't really want anything to do with what's happening here. So that's pretty much it, and that's kind of effectively our last big push into features. And that's not to say we won't look at more features down the line, but I think at this point it would be better to start tweaking what we have, rather than just kind of randomly adding in every idea that seems like it might be good. I think at this point, it really comes down to polishing the game, balancing it, tweaking the existing features, taking care of bugs, and generally just pushing it towards release. And additionally, there's been quite a few bug fixes in this update, so I'd like to say thanks to Nomad, Nathan, and Ushis for the help digging up the bugs. It's been, again, a very big help in getting this update out much more quickly. So thanks very much for watching, and if you have any comments or observations, please do leave them. I'd be happy to talk to you. See you next time.